Good afternoon, all. Today we have with us in the session Dr. Sunil Swami. Sir is a scientist at ICAR Grassland and Fodder Research Institute. Sir is going to deliberate on forage seed testing and quality control. Sir, you have all the control and you may start presenting, sir.
Thank you so much. Well, I don't really know how to operate as far as this digital education is concerned. So I don't know how many participants are there or what kind of participants we have in this particular
We have
presentation.
around right now about 84 participants in the session right now, and
Okay.
many more are joining. Uh, for operating this, you just have to click on your PowerPoint presentation as you do in the normal class or
No, no,
scenario.
that I do understand. I mean, what kind of okay, 84 this participants. So what I will do, I will just start. If anyone have any question, they can interrupt me straight away rather than ending the PowerPoint and then going back to each and every slide and discussing out of flow. We can have that question being answered then and there only, right? So it will be very easy. If you don't follow something, you just ask me at that point itself. No problem. All right. So, basically, before understanding how the seed testing is done and how the quality control happens in India, we need to understand what exactly is seed quality, what exactly and how it differentiates from quality seed. So we all know seed is nothing but a fertilized matured ovule. I should not say fertilized because in apomictic seed you don't have fertilization per se. So seed is anything that has an embryo or that is used for propagation, right? So this is a botanical definition of seed. But crops like sugarcane, where vegetative propagation is paramount, you don't have fertilized or embryo for that matter. You just have a somatic tissue that grows into a full plant. So as far as seed quality control is concerned, if we go by Seeds Act 1966, here seed is defined as any propagating material. So any propagating material that is being sold in the market as a seed should have some quality, should have some minimum standards. That is what Seeds Act says. So as I said, what is seed quality and what is quality seed? These are two things that we should know. Seed quality is nothing but a set of parameters like genetic purity, physical purity, moisture, um, color, or weight. There are a set of parameters. Okay, so seed quality is nothing but the set of parameters that we talk, whereas quality seed is nothing but the actual seed which has a desired level of quality. So quality seed is actual seed, whereas when I say seed quality, we are talking about some parameters, right? Um, Fine. So, what are the factors that affect seed quality? We all know, starting from the very formation of the seed to its development, maturation, growth, harvesting, threshing, storage, transportation. There are n number of stages from uh, seed development till the next seed germination. It will germinate or it will die. Those are the only two conditions that seed has, right? So there are numerous factors that are affecting from the very beginning of a development till the death of the seed. Now, and those factors could be categorized in different ways. Like, what are the factors that affect genetic composition, or what are the factors that affect or what are the agronomic factors that affect seed quality? What are the ecological factors? What are the harvesting and post-harvesting factors? And the other aspect of this presentation is seed testing. So, in order to know whether a seed meets particular standard or not, we need to check the quality of a seed in seed testing laboratory with using some standardized scientific method. So, uh, what I am trying to convey here is seed testing is central to the seed quality control. It is not that you will pick up a handful of a seed and say this is a good quality and that is a bad quality. You have to define, you have to confirm whether that seed meets a certain quality or not by actually testing it. So seed testing is like a soul to the entire body called seed quality control. So seed testing is useful in all the aspects of seed production. Okay, now coming, as I said, what is quality seed? It is nothing but it meets the physical purity, it meets the genetic purity, it meets the germination, it meets the moisture, it meets the seed health, and there are so many other things like seed vigor and so on. So what do we mean by germination? What do we mean by these parameters? We will see one by one in the upcoming slides. Right. So now seed sampling is very much important. So be it in any areas we are dealing with, what we need to understand is that tons of seed is produced, and we cannot check entire seed lot. And that's why what we do is we draw some representative sample from the given seed lot, right? So in order to draw the representative sample, the word representative is highly important. What you need to do is, if you have to draw a uniform sample from the seed lot. Otherwise, if you just take sample from one part or one bag and try to comment the purity or try to comment about the quality of the entire seed lot, that is say 100 ton, it will be completely wrong. The results won't be reproducible. In order to have reproducible result, what we need to have is a representative seed sampling. Take sample from every nook and corner of the storage house. Take sample from all the strata of particular bag. So that must be done. Okay, and for that we have different kind of seed samplers. Okay, so there are no-base seed sampler. There are various seed sampler, and it depends upon what kind of seed we are dealing with. If it is chaffy seed or some flowing seed, as it is the case in most of the forage crops, then you have hand sampling as a method, because you can't really take seed from a chaffy seed lot using these kind of metallic samplers. Okay, so what is primary sample? It is nothing but a small amount of a sample we take from each individual spot, and after taking so many primary samples from so many different locations, we combine them into a composite sample. Sometimes, as it happens, that composite sample may itself be very huge, and we need not to send entire composite sample to seed testing laboratories. In those scenarios, what we do is we derive submitted sample. I mean, we reduce composite sample into some smaller sample by completely mixing and merging it into one another, and that sample which is sent to seed testing laboratory is called submitted sample. The name itself suggests it is submitted to seed testing laboratory. And then,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry to disturb. Sorry. Have you moved on to the next slide?
I did. I mean, there is some time lag. Is it there?
No, no, it's on the first slide only.
I mean, that can't happen because
Can you go to the? Can you click on the top slideshow option?
just a minute. Slide. Okay. See,
Yeah, yeah. Go to the slideshow.
yeah, I have started it, and
No, it's not stated.
okay, this is the first slide.
Let's not go by the show. Can we do something like we'll move one by one on the slides itself?
Yeah,
Because
is it
I don't think so.
is it visible now?
Yeah. It is visible.
Now it is visible. This is the factor
Yeah, this way
affecting.
it's visible. This way it's visible.
Oh, if this works, that's
Yeah. We'll go
okay.
like this and we'll not start the show.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's good. I mean, okay, we are already on. So what I will do, I'll give 5 seconds each to the each slide. Okay, I have talked about seed quality vis-a-vis quality seed. Then I have talked about the factors affecting seed quality. Then we have, as I said, seed testing is central soul to the entire seed quality control program. And these are some quality seed parameters that we have mentioned. And I was talking about seed sampling. So say in particular seed lot, you have 1,000 bags, and you just draw 1 kg sample from one bag and you send it to seed testing laboratory. The results that are going to come after seed testing will not be reproduced, or will not be reproducible, will not be accurate. There, in order to avoid that mistake, what we do is we take small sample from different locations in that 1,000 bags in randomized and in completely non-controlled way, and that particular sample, each sample is called primary sample. Those primary samples are combined into composite sample, and if so happens, more often than not, composite sample is as such sent to the seed testing laboratory under the name submitted sample. But if you have drawn excess amount of a composite sample, another way of reducing the sample is to mixing the composite sample thoroughly and then drawing required amount of submitted sample. And when I say required, when I say primary sample, number of primary samples, there the standards are already mentioned that how if you have X number of bags, how many primary samples you should draw, and what is the minimum amount of submitted sample you need to submit. Okay, so those things are already standardized, right? So once the sample reaches into the laboratory, we have uh, this testing personnel who would draw a small amount of sample from the submitted sample and work upon it, and that sample becomes working sample. Okay,
Sir, can you click on the slide transitions? Can you close the side window so that it becomes a bit larger?
okay, okay, got it,
Side
got it.
transitions.
Okay, thank you so much, Aman.
Can you
Uh,
maximize
yeah,
or
I'm
zoom?
okay, fine.
At the
I
bottom, there is a zoom slider in the presentation.
yeah.
Yes,
Just a,
perfect, perfect.
just a minute. I think it is a bit more than it should
Yeah,
have
yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay, now this is this enough or
Yeah, I think this is enough.
okay, right. So huh. Now, as I said, how many samples we should draw from a seed lot or from the number of bags or containers, it is already mentioned. The International Seed Testing Association has already specified that if you have seed lot in kgs, you should draw samples according to this particular table. If we have sample kept in container or a seed lot kept in container, we should draw the number of primary samples in such a fashion. Okay, so that way this aspect has been worked a lot, and they have fixed this primary sample number of primary samples that should be drawn. Now, what we have to understand is even after this kind of sampling, we are still going to have some errors. Okay, and those errors are taken care by tolerance table that is provided in statistic and statistical analysis. When we do, there is something called tolerance table. So depending upon the tolerance that is allowed, we can find out whether any variation that may come in two different tests of the same seed lot is whether because of other uncontrolled factors or whether because of a sampling error. So that is also there. Now, what is physical purity? As the name suggests, it is the physical presence of mentioned seed. So if I say it is the seed of wheat crop, and then it should be only wheat crop, right? So that becomes a physical purity. Now we have to understand, when I say wheat crop, I did not mention any particular variety of a wheat. Or if I say, for example, saffron, I did not mention any variety of saffron. That means physical purity only deals with or deals at the kind or crop level. So physical purity is not a synonym of genetic purity, that we need to understand. Okay, so when we do physical purity test on a particular sample, what we do is we divide sample into three groups: pure seed, that is the seed of mentioned crop; other seeds, any seed from other than the pure seed. That is, if I say this is the sample of uh, as I said, wheat. So all the wheat seed, irrespective of their variety, will be a part of pure seed as long as they are more than 50%. Now we have to understand this: more than 50% of original size, more than 30% of original size, 70%. It is crop specific. Okay, so there is one book called ESTA Rules. International Seed Testing Association publishes ISTA rules, there we have a specific definition that when it comes to purity testing, a pure seed is either an intact seed or seed that is at least more than 50% to its original size. That is a general uh, definition of a pure seed. But there are few crops where the definition keeps on changing. Even one third is accepted as a seed in some of the crops, and in some of the crops, even half is not accepted as a seed. So the definition of pure seed we have to understand is either an intact seed or with some broken part, it is also accepted as seed as long as it meets a specified size. Okay. Then we have other seeds. So in particular wheat sample, if I have a seed mustard, it will be categorized as other seed. If I have seed of a rice, it will be categorized as other seeds. If I have seed of any weed crop, okay, even then it will be categorized as other seed. So in India, we have four classes, that is pure seed. Other seed is bifurcated into two. Other seed could be weed seed or other crop seed. We can see here I have mentioned that other seed is either a weed seed or other crop seed. And then the fourth component is inert matter. So anything that is not a part of pure seed or crop seed, any other crop seed or any weed seed will become a part of inert matter. Okay. So that is the physical purity test. Then seed germination test. So what we do is, in specified conditions, we take the sample, and in general, we have a rule of putting 100 into 4, that is 100 seed in 4 replications. So total number of seeds kept for germination test will be 400. So that is there because at 4 replications with 400 as a sample population, your statistical error becomes less enough to have a reproducible experiment, or the degree of uh, certainty or degree of correct getting correct result increases, right? So seed germination test, now for different crops we have different ways of carrying out seed germination test, like between paper test or top of the paper, top of the sand, top of the soil. There are various ways, and that way you can carry out seed germination test. What we need to remember is germination is not just mere uh, emergence of radical from the seed. Germination is full development of a seedling. Okay, where by seeing that seedling, by looking at the seedling, you can say, okay, this particular seedling will grow into a full plant. It's like having a human kid or infant with two hands, two legs, two eyes, everything in a perfect way. And then you can understand, or you can say, okay, this particular individual is growing to be like this. So even in seed germination test, mere emergence of a radical does not mean germination, though it is a germination in physiological sense. But when it comes to seed technology, when it comes to quality control or seed testing, your seed is considered to be germinated only when it produces seedling of a sufficient size, by looking at which you can say, okay, it has got sufficient amount of roots, it has got shoot, it has got all the essential features that are required, and based on that you will categorize it as a normal seedling, and that normal seedling percentage divided by 400 seeds becomes your germination percentage. Now seed testing protocol for uh, different crop is already specified. As far as our focus is concerned, in forage crops, like these are the crops, we have substrate like top of the paper, between paper. This is the temperature that is mentioned. Whenever you have two temperatures like 20-30, that does not mean you can give any temperature between 20 and 30. It simply means alternate temperature, where night temperature should be 20 and day temperature should be 30. Okay, and your first count, that is, if I have kept 400 seed in 4 replication, 100 into 4, what we have to do is on for example bursing, on day 3 of a germination test, we need to go and check how many seedlings or how many seeds have given emergence to seedlings that can be counted as a normal seedling. Okay, it has sufficient size, sufficient root, sufficient shoot. It can be counted as a normal seedling. Now there are two kind of customs here. One, if your plate size is not large or not enough, then what we can do is we can remove some seedling from that particular experiment. All those normal seedlings can be removed and can be counted as normal seedling, can be counted as a normal seedlings, and we will include them into germination percentage in the end. Okay, but if you have sufficient size, you need not to remove seeds at first count. Okay, then there is a final count on which, for example, in bursing, on seventh day you will look into the petri dish. You will take out all those normal seedlings divided by 400. That becomes your germination percentage, and experiment terminates on the final count, right? And these are the specific treatment that are mentioned. For example, in oat crop, uh, if you want to go for this germination study, you have to preheat them at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, or pre-chill them. So there are different treatment to break out seed dormancy and to have successful germination. Okay, so this entire information is there in International Seed Testing Association manual, that is ESTA. Whosoever is hosting this meeting, they have I have their email ID. What I will do is I have a copy of ESTA with me. I'll email it to uh, uh, organizers. I think they will distribute among the participants.
Sure,
Okay.
sir, sure, sir.
Okay.
You can revert back to the same
Sure,
mail.
sure, sure. I will do that. I'll do that just after the lecture. Okay. So this is the now how to establish whether a seed is normal or abnormal or any other category. Okay, so what we do when you keep seeds for germination testing, what will happen? There will be two kind of seeds you will find: few that have germinated and few others that haven't germinated, right? So based on that, what you can do is all those all those germinated seedlings could be either a normal seedling. When I say normal seedling, that means that germinated seedling has all the essential parts. Could be abnormal also. Now you have to look after this picture. You have this one block which have normal seedling and another block which has abnormal seedling. You can see, and germination percentage is only the number of normal seedlings divided by number of seed planted into 100. Now among ungerminated, we can have fresh ungerminated seed, that is all those seeds that are firm and as such will be categorized. Okay, all those seeds that have taken water but haven't germinated will be categorized as fresh ungerminated seed. So here they have taken water but they don't germinate. That actually means there is something called seed dormancy in embryo. Okay, but if there are seeds that haven't taken even water, that means their seed coat is very hard, and that will be categorized as a hard seed. So here these two categories, fresh ungerminated seed is also dormant and hard seed is also dormant. The only thing is fresh ungerminated seed will have embryonic dormancy, whereas hard seeds will have seed coat related dormancy. Okay, then we have a fifth category that is called dead seed. That means they have taken water and they have started rotting. There is a discoloration, there is a fouly smell, and those will be categorized as a dead seeds. Now then we have seed moisture test. Now there are various ways we can measure the moisture. In general, we have hot air one method, which is extensively used, highly accurate method, and then we have digital moisture meter, which is only used on commercial scale, where go downs or big seed storage units. What they do is they have a digital moisture meter. The accuracy of a digital moisture meter is a little less, but when it comes to scientific studies, we generally use hot air oven method. So if you have oil seed, we should use a temperature that is 103 degrees Celsius for 16 to 18 hours, right? 17 plus minus 1, that becomes 16 to 18 hours with 70% R. Whereas if it is not non-oil seed, we can use high constant temperature oven method, where temperature could be between 130 to 133, and duration varies. Even there are millets where even 1 hour of hot air oven is enough, and 2 hours for other cereals, and 4 hours in case of maize. The moisture percentage is calculated based on the weight loss, that is the final weight minus initial weight, that is weight loss, divided by initial weight into 100. Okay. Then comes seed viability test. Now, if we can carry out seed germination test, what is the need of seed viability test? Because technically, seed germination checks nothing but the liveness or aliveness of seed. And the name of seed viability test also suggests that it checks whether seed is viable or not. So both are same things. But what we have to understand is that in seed germination test, we have seen that some crop, they have their second count or final count on seventh day, some have on 10th day, and in some of the crops, the second count or the final count can be taken or may be taken at 60th day or after 2 months of seed testing. So there you have to understand that germination test has one problem, that is it is time taking. But if we don't have a time, then what is the shortcut of checking whether seed that we are seeing as a seed is viable or not? And there, what we do, there is quick viability test. There are various ways. Now, the tetrazolium test is one of the famous seed viability tests. Okay, there are various tests other than tetrazolium also. But here, what they do is they use the dehydrogenase enzyme, which is present in the living tissue, to reduce the colorless tetrazolium salt or tetrazolium solution uh, being converted to red colored parmesan. And here you can see a seed is soaked into or kept into water. Then what we do, depending upon whether it is a monocot or a dicot, we have to do some treatment. For example, in most of the monocot, embryo is in a lateral position, so there you have to give a transverse or vertical cut depending upon the size of the seed, going through the embryo in order to let tetrazolium penetrate into the living tissues. But in case of dicot, here you can see these are the dicots. So their cotyledon and embryonic axis both are living. So, and in fact, when I say both are living, it is the entire cotyledon and embryonic axis is a part of embryo. Okay, so there you just need to remove seed coat. If you remove seed coat and put it into tetrazolium salt, that is enough. So what happens is the colorless tetrazolium is converted into parmesan by the action of dehydrogenase enzyme that is there in the living tissue. So if there are dead tissue, if seed is not viable, the color will not convert into red. Okay, here you can see the difference. This is the viable seed, all red, whereas these are the non-viable seed. They have taken some small color, but it actually means the entire cotyledon is dead, whereas only embryonic axis is alive, and that seed will not produce healthy leaves and that will die. Here also the entire axis and cotyledon is dead. Okay, so here what we have to understand, that essential part must have developed color. So if they develop color, then and then only we can accept it as a viable seed. Now what is vigor? So if I have to tell you what is vigor, and I have to differentiate vigor from viability or germination, I will simply say that if a group of 25-year-old guys or boys, they are asked to run a marathon, and after 5 kilometers you will give them a rank. Okay, who comes first, who comes second, who comes uh, 25th. Okay, out of those 25 boys, okay, 25 boys, they will run, and what will happen is all those 25 run the entire, say, 5 kilometer marathon, and they reach their destination, but everyone will reach in a different time. Seed vigor is exactly that thing. So when I say germination, in germination test, we just check whether seed germinates or not. Whereas in vigor test, what we check is whether it germinates, and if it germinates, how fast it germinates. So, like if those 25 boys are running the distance of 5 kilometers, everyone will reach the destination, but some will reach in 1 hour, some will reach in 2 hours, someone will reach in 10th hour. So the one which are reaching in a shorter period will be vigorous, will be highly active, highly energetic. That is the same concept. Okay. So you put two samples, you compare like variety A with variety B, you keep their samples, or even in variety A, you can take old seed, you can take new seed, you can take seed from plot 1, plot 2, you put them into seed testing and find it out that after 4 days, which particular sample is giving you more amount of growth, and based on that growth you can classify whether it is high vigor, medium vigor, or low vigor. When I say high vigor, it is produce normal vigorous seedling in wide range of conditions. Okay, so it is wide range of condition, that means the stress conditions also. And medium vigor produces normal seedlings only under favorable conditions, whereas low vigor, they produce weak abnormal seedlings even under favorable conditions. Now here you can see that this is the vigorous lot, whereas this is the low vigor lot. Okay, so there are different way you can say a lot is vigorous than the other. For example, seed size. In general, bold seed is considered to be vigorous than the small seed, but that is not the case because there are some exceptions too. But this is a generalization where seed size, physical soundness, or X-ray based test, or number of seeds germinating on first count. We have seen what is first count. Then there is a speed of germination, growth rate, dry weight, radical emergent test. So there are various ways, even giving cold temperature, or putting the seed into brick gravels, or putting paper on the seed, and seeing if the seedling pierces through paper. So there are various ways we can give them a stress and find it out whether a lot that we are checking is vigorous or not. Okay, then genetic purity. This is one of the most important tests. When I say genetic purity here, what we do is whether a particular sample submitted is having this genetic purity. That means all the member seeds of that particular sample are similar with respect to genetic composition. That becomes a high genetic purity. If it is not similar, that becomes low genetic purity. So what we have to do here is there are various morphological markers, biochemical markers, and molecular markers which differentiate one seed, one genetic composition from the another genetic composition. And I think we all have heard about this grow out test, where uh, the sample is grown with the authentic standard sample of the mentioned variety, and they see whether both the sample both of them are having similar morphological uh, stages, and if they have similar morphological expressions at different stages, it is generally accepted as a genetically pure uh, sample. Whereas in biochemical markers like protein profiling, it is a bit easy. It is a laboratory based procedure, but the standardization is needed because various proteins are stage specific in their expression, and there are various issues also. So people are trying hard to find out some biochemical markers and molecular markers in order to avoid this season losing, time consuming, labor intensive, and environmentally sensitive grow out test. Okay, so that is being done. It is very fast and accurate as far as molecular markers are concerned. But the only problem is, since the genetic base is narrowing down, and the initial investment and initial infrastructure build-up in molecular marker is high, we need skilled staff, and these are the general disadvantages. But I don't see that in future, uh, in very near future, uh, as we could see that uh, educational standards are improving in across the India. So we could expect that in days to come, molecular markers would be the norm, and grow out test will only be used if it is impossible to carry out a laboratory based test. Now there is another aspect where seed health becomes highly important in seed quality testing. So what we do is we check. There are various ways of checking whether a seed is healthy or not. Examination of ungerminated dry seed by soaking or by the suspension. There are various ways we can check for bacterial, fungal infections. Also, we can check for viral infections using PCR based test, right? Now, as far as this testing part is concerned, in India, we have numerous uh, seed testing laboratories which work under the Central Seed Testing Laboratory, that is CSTL Varanasi. Okay, and there are various state seed testing laboratories and even private seed companies. They have their own laboratories, but all have to work under CSTL, Central Seed Testing Laboratory, Varanasi. So when I say work under, it is like CSTL is a referral lab, and it publishes the procedures. It also carry out in any case of court case, litigation and all. CSTL, uh, intervenes. Now, the Seeds Act 1966 legally controls seed quality in India. There are two aspects of seed quality control. It is one is the genetic purity maintained during production and marketing, and the another aspect is whether seed lot itself is of adequate quality or not. So these are the two. That means this is a certification, and this is sorry. The first one was with respect to labeling. So what we are labeling is there, whether it is true or not, and the second is with respect to certification. I should not have kept production here because production is a part of certification. So what we do, we certify in the field. Okay, so this slide will explain it in a better way. So how we maintain quality of seed is, there are phases like pre-certification, where nucleus seed is used to produce breeder, and breeder is used to produce foundation to certified. That chain is there. Then we have certification, where foundation and certified class is under the purview of various seed certification board. And then we have actual seed testing, where in spite of having field inspections and all, the seed is taken to lab and tested, and if it meets certain seed standards, only then there is a certificate issued. Okay, so this is the way we carry out the seed quality control program. Okay, so as I said, there are State Department Agriculture, then there is NSC, SFC, ISSC, others, National Seed Association of India, which is the umbrella organization of the private seed sector. Now they have established some other also. I don't recall the name, uh, but there is another split from National Seed Association of India. So all these agencies put breeder seed indent to Department of Agricultural Cooperation, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Government of India, and that BS indent is given to ICAR, and ICAR thereafter produces breeder seed. This breeder seed is utilized for foundation and certified seed production. Okay, which these two classes are under the purview of IMSCS. There is another class also, which per se is not a class, like truthfully labeled seed, where producer himself has to guarantee that seed meets the certifying standards, and that class is also highly prominent in India, because certification by certifying agencies is like a third party guarantee, whereas truthfully labeled seed is nothing but the producing company or producing organization or cooperative themselves take the guarantee of seed quality. Then seed certification, it is, as I said, legally sanctioned third party guarantee kind of system, where uh, the agency, certifying agency, comes and check during production of a seed, during harvesting, during threshing, and even during uh, this initial packaging. So all those stages are covered under seed certification. Okay, but you have to understand, only those varieties are certified if they are notified under Section 5 of the Seeds Act. Now, this provision is somehow It was required in 1966 because our country was very new and we were developing. I mean, we were in the initial beginning stage of standing on our feet. There, we haven't had resources enough to certify everything or check out everything. So, and again, in addition to that, in order to certify a particular variety, or in order to say that, okay, this plant belongs to particular variety, you need to know every character of that variety. Okay. And that variety character data will only be uh, uh, will only be available at the disposal of a certifying officers if it is notified. Now, this provision has now the new seed bill says whether a notified or not, if a particular seed is being sold in the market under the name of seed, then it should be certified. Okay, it's like compulsory certification that is being talked of. As far as today's time is concerned, certification is voluntary in India. Okay, then what are the requirements of certification? So in general, there are general requirement and there are specific requirement. So when I say general requirement, as I said, it should be notified variety under seeds act. Only then the certification can happen, and then should be in production chain, and its pedigree should be traced. So general requirement is having a notified variety. Then there are field standards. There are standards like selection of site, isolation requirements, spacing, planting ratio, border rows, and so on. And then specific like crop-based standard. Even when I say crop-based, isolation requirement is also crop-based, but it is in the field. Spacing is also crop based. Planting ratio is also crop based. Borders are also given in some of the crops, that too in hybrid seed production. So border rows are generally rows of a male parent. Okay. Then specific requirement. Uh, okay, it is same as a field standard, and then we have seed standard. Once you produce seeds in the field, they are taken to the lab, and there you see germination, physical purity, genetic purity, and so many other things that we have already discussed. So depending upon whether it meets the field standard and seed standard that are lab standard, a certificate is issued or denied. Okay, so this is the field standard of forage crop, IMSCS, that is Indian Minimum Seed Certification Standard 2013. Even that book is available with me. I think that is available online also. If you just put up IMSCS, you can have that book in Google. So that is available. We can explore that book, and it covers so many crops, more than two. I think 2013 version covers somewhere around 195 crops. Okay, so there if we can have the details of what does it mean to be complying with field as well as seed standards. And this is the position of India with respect to seed legislation. We have Seeds Act, we have seed rules. These two have been amended many a times. Then there is seed control order, which makes seed as an essential commodity. So we cannot hoard seed under the name of grain. Then we have new policy on seed development, where government tried to open up or liberalize the seed industry way before 1991, where the massive LPG reforms like happened. So seed sector was like liberalized much before the other sectors did. Then PFO, that's Plant Fruit Order, PPF and FR, then Essential Commodity Act, which is under the Seed Control Order 1983. Then we have a National Seed Policy of 2002, and uh, this new seed bill. So new seed bill is just I have mentioned here. It has been tabled twice, but it is yet to be, you know, yet to be passed by Parliament of India. And this is the overall position of seed legislation. If someone asks why not have one law, then the simple answer would be is in a newly independent India, the problems came one after the other. Okay, so the solutions also came one after the other. So every piece of legislation kept on adding. Now what is the biggest thing that the bureaucrats or policymakers could do is to have sync in all those pieces of legislation, and that has always happened. So that is like always is the case where there was a sync and there were few issues that are tackled by the policymakers. So I would like to acknowledge Dr. Sanjay and Dr. Manjunath from IGFRI Jhansi for this lecture presentation, and thank you very much. If you have any question, please do ask.
Please ask if there are any questions. Any questions? Please ask.
Okay, so was I audible throughout the lecture, or there was some?
Yes, you were audible.
Ha, ha,
No,
ha.
you were audible.
Okay, okay.
Any questions?
Having no question only means two things: I was good enough, or I was really bad.
Sir, you were good enough.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir. Dr. Saab.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
This is Ali Hussain from Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
Yes, your presentation is good. What happened that the germination method in for the fooder seed testing and other things you are explained well.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Actually, the seed is given by the Department of Agriculture and Department of Veterinary, or the dog veterinary doctor is giving. That's
Mhm.
why we are not checking before the plantation.
Okay, okay.
Previously we take a half acre of land,
Mhm.
then we directly putting into the field.
Okay.
If those are germinated, the germinated, those are not germinated, we are leaving.
Oh,
Is it mandatory to check everything every time?
actually, sir, it's like if we check it in lab, no, for say 4 or 5 days, not going until the final count. Even if final count is on a 10th day and we terminate the experiment on 5th day, no problem. What happens is if we put the seed directly into the field, more often than not, any failure means that sowing time is also gone. The season best time of sowing is gone. So in order to avoid that kind of a thing, we can just put it for some days and find it out whether a lot is germinating at all or not. Just to avoid that in actual field, we use labor, we use other instruments, and then so many efforts are down the drain. Just to avoid that, we can have, and since we are checking it in lab, we need not to follow this seasonal situation. We can check anytime. It
Okay.
is always good. I would rather say it is always good than to say it is always compulsory.
Actually, we believe with the department and we believe with the certification agency. That's why we doesn't go for a checking purpose. Right now, after your presentation, I will check each and every time for the germination and other things. Thank you so much, Doctor Sir. Good day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other question, please? Any other question? Sir, I think there are no further questions.
Thank you. Thank
On behalf of the participants and on behalf of NADCL, I would like to thank you. It was so
you.
nice of you to join us in an impromptu manner. Why? Because the other resource person had some work to do. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
No problem. No
Would
problem.
like to see more of you here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Participants may leave and join back tomorrow. Thank you.